Hello, happy Monday. I look a little different. I have a mustache now. Figured I would get that established right off the bat. Yes, I've got a mustache now. Why? Because I wanted to. I don't know, that's stupid. I wanted to do something stupid. Okay, seriously though, I was at work last week and like it's just been so brutally hot. Like 90 degrees, 100% humidity, and like I think I gave myself like a minor like heat stroke or something last week cuz like I think it was maybe Tuesday or Wednesday. Like I was just like dizzy and nauseous at work to the point where I just said, forget it. I'm gonna get before I go to work. I'm gonna get a haircut, and then I shaved my beard as well, just to do something a little different. Well, one, so it's physically cooler, and two, so it's just things just different. But anyway, time to get into the games I've been playing. I didn't have any haul this week. I already did my one gaming trip this month, or that was last week. So we'll get into the games I've been playing. Far Cry 2, I didn't stream any Far Cry 2. I have decided I am going to backlog this game and start playing something else on my Series X because I just haven't been playing it. So there's a reason I haven't been playing it. It's just because I'm just not into it right now. So I will try again some other time. So with that, we'll actually get into the 5 games I did play this week. Right off the bat, Genji, Days of the Blade. So I was excited about this game initially, just because I knew that the story is like a famous Japanese legend. Um, so I was just kind of intrigued by that, and when I got playing it, it's okay. It's an okay game. You play as Genji, the main character, and then like kind of early on it's established like, oh, you don't just play as one character. And as weird as a pull as this sounds, but the game, I'm sorry I paused it for a second. The game reminds me of Agents of Mayhem. And I know that's a really, really weird pull, but like in the sense that like instead of having different weapons for one character, you can kind of hot swap different characters on the fly, and each character has its own health bar, has its own weapon, and just completely different play style. So you're just kind of like switching to a different enemy depending on what you need, or not enemy. You're switching to a different like character protagonist depending on what your current need is. And it's not the first game. I actually will be talking about a game a little later that does the same thing. But it's very Agents of Mayhem where like you hot swap and then like they have a different weapon, they have a completely different health bar. It's just completely it's its own thing. My issue with the overall game is it's just not fun to play. The combat feels bad. It just doesn't quite feel right. And then the other major issue I'm having is every step of the way, I just feel lost and confused. It got to a point where I was just like, I was lost. I couldn't figure out what to do next. So I pull up a YouTube walkthrough. Now, this is a 22 part series. Each episode's I think it's about 22 minutes. This is all very important. It was the third episode of the series that I found myself that I needed to watch. And as I'm just kind of watching it, I'm just kind of doing the YouTube arrow kind of just kind of skipping ahead every 5 seconds, every 5 seconds, every 5 seconds. The person in the video was lost at the exact same moment I was, and it took 20 minutes into a 22-minute video for him to finally figure out what he was supposed to do. And what ended up happening is he was standing near something and just happened to hit the square button as like the heavy character, and it clicked something. And it's such that is frustrating. That was just frustrating. And I got through that part, and like instantly in my mind, I'm thinking like, okay, it's not just me. Like there is something about this game that it's just, I don't want to say poorly designed, but it is like the levels are not well designed. It's confusing. You're getting lost a lot, and that's the thing. Like, I got through that part. I had to watch this other person, so it's not just me struggling with this stuff. I get through that part. I get to a new area, and I'm like, I don't know where I'm supposed to go again. And I just don't have an interest in just like pulling up my computer and having a YouTube walkthrough as I play through a game. Like, that is not how I want to play a game, at least at the moment. So, after I think I played this game for about 2.5 to 3 hours. It's hard to say exactly how lost I was for most of it. You do get introduced to 4 characters, so you like each character has a hot swap of on the D-pad. I enjoyed using one of those characters, which was the 4th character that's introduced, and that character you get to play as for maybe a 5-minute segment. So basically, in this 3-hour chunk of time I played it, I enjoyed the game for about 5 minutes. And that was when I was playing as the one character who I don't remember his name, but like he's like a dual wielder, and he's got like these 2 swords, and he's fast, and he's actually fun to play as. The other characters, the main one, he's just kind of like generic sword guy that's okay, and then there's like the big heavy brute that's just like it's kind of like he's carrying around like a giant log. It's just like this big wooden log thing. And then you play as another character as a woman. The woman has kind of like I don't exactly know what it is, but she's more of a range. I don't know what the weapon is called, but it's like a range weapon where it's kind of like 2 hooks on the end, and it's connected by like a string. It's not a string, but like it's 2 things connected by like something else, and you like swing it around and like you use that. It doesn't feel good to play as that character. The only one it felt good was the 4th character, the dual wielder. So after about 3 hours, I just was like, I don't want to play this anymore for the time being. So I am also backlogging this game. And I know that's 2 games I backlogged, but it was just kind of like, it was a weird week where I just wasn't enjoying too much what I was playing. But we'll get into it. The next game I played is a new game that I picked up this month, and that is King Kong, the official game of the movie. Well, okay, I apologize. The correct title is Peter Jackson's King Kong, the official game of the movie. You know, I'm an idiot. Now that I'm looking at the back of this case, I'm an idiot. Because it says, play as a man, play as Kong. So I went into this game not knowing anything about it. I knew it was a launch title. I didn't even know what the gameplay was. I just kind of was like, I'm just going to give this game a try and see how I feel. I was excited to play this because I just, like, everybody I'd heard from podcasts talk about this game, they were positive about it, and they were all like, oh yeah, it's good for points as well. Play it for the points. So I was like, all right, I'm going, like, this was a game that I've been wanting to pick up it, and I finally did. I started playing it almost immediately, and to my surprise, I didn't know what the style of the game was. It's a first-person shooter, which, I mean, if you looked at the back of the case, I mean, it's kind of, wish my camera was better, but this picture, as bad as it is, he's holding a gun and he's shooting a velociraptor. Or no, that might be they're not T-Rexes. They're like Velociraptors? Vetasauruses? I don't know. I don't really know dinosaurs. I don't even know if it's a real thing, but they're not T-Rexes. They're like V-Rexes, as in Victor. So the game is kind of a first-person shooter, but I wouldn't call it that. I would call it more of a first-person action game. At least the parts where you're playing as Jack, the writer in the movie. And the reason why I say that I give that distinction is because the game has like severe weapon, or severe like ammo scarcity, to the point where you're regularly running out of ammo, and then you're just having to pick up spears or bones. Like, those are your only other 2 options. Which it seems like the spears do more damage than the bones. and then you just kind of use them to stab and or throw. The stabbing does not do a lot of damage, and if you're using the spear or bone, you get 3 stabs, and then like the thing has already then the weapon you're holding is broken. So I found that throwing was better, but like then like I don't it would break faster, but at least it did a lot more damage. Where if you were stabbing, like if I stabbed like not the V-Rex, but just like a smaller Velociraptor, it would probably take like 7 or 8 stabs. So you would use a weapon, stab, 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 and then you have to frantically run around, find another one, stab, 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 and then that would break, and then you have to frantically run around, stab, stab, and then it's dead. And you know, doing that for 6-7 hours could get frustrating, as it did. And so that was the gameplay as Jack, which is about 70% of the game. At a certain point, it's maybe like 30-40% into the game, all of a sudden it switches over and you're playing as Kong, and you're like, okay, this is kind of neat. What it reminds me of is Prince of Persia. I was gonna say Prince, like the game itself, it kind of reminds me of Far Cry, because I was also playing Far Cry, and that's also a Ubisoft game. Like the shooting feels a lot like Far Cry 2. So it feels like Far Cry 2 meets Prince of Persia, but like not as good. So they're like lessers of each, but like still, it is neat playing like a Prince of Persia style of like game, or Prince of Persia style levels in a game where you're controlling King Kong. That's kind of neat. There was a point, maybe about the halfway point of the game, where I was like climbing up rocks and like trees, and then there was one where like this one like pointy rock, and I was able to stand on it, and like as I'm like playing as King Kong, I'm able to like rotate around the whole thing. I'm standing there holding on, and he's like swinging, doing this, and I'm like, oh, I know exactly what this animation is for. This animation is for the end of the game where I'm playing as King Kong. I'm on the Empire State Building, and that's exactly what happens, by the way. I did finish this game. I was stubborn enough. I was like, I'm going to finish this game. That was one of the things I was like, I'm not enjoying Far Cry. I don't want to play that. I was struggling through Genji, and then I was playing Peter Jackson's like this game, and I wasn't loving it either. But at least it does give out the points. I will compliment the game for that. I got 1,000 points for this game, and all I had to do was play through it. So that part's okay. But like I can't say the game was good. Like the story is woof. It literally starts out playing like maybe 45 seconds to a minute of clips from the movie, and then boom, you're at the island, you're getting off the big boat and getting onto the island. That's how the game starts. You literally just see a few clips from the movie. It pretty much cuts out the first like 40 minutes of the movie, which fine, whatever, I don't care. And then after that, it doesn't really kind of follow the movie. You just do a bunch of random stuff. It's got a really weird chapter system as well. I guess while I'm kind of talking about this, I didn't look it up. Let me just quickly pause and look that up real quick. Okay. So I was going to say it has like 40 some chapters. It's exactly 40 chapters. So do that math. It's like a 6 to 7 hour game, and there's 40 chapters. So you're just like clearing out chapters every 5-6 minutes. It's weird. It's kind of weird. I guess I'm just used to like more Uncharted, where like each chapter is at least like 20 to 30 minutes. You know, there's a few shorter ones, but like every single chapter was really short. So it's a weird, interesting game. It's definitely a relic, a certain time period. I am glad I got it out of the way, because it is a launch title, and these launch titles are a bit rough. I'm not going to lie. I think the only one I'm going to end up liking is probably Project Gotham Racing 3. But anyway, that is Peter Jackson's King Kong. I can't say that I really liked it. It was neat. I was excited to try it. I'm glad I tried it, but I can't say that it was like particularly great. Now, the next game that I'm a little disappointed I didn't play more time with, and that is Super Paper Mario. And the reason why I said earlier, if you remember, I was talking about Genji and I was talking about hot swapping. You hot swap characters in this game as well. I don't like the way they have it though. At least with Genji, it's on the D-pad. This game, you have to go into a menu to swap characters, and that's just kind of like, it's clunky. I don't love it. It's clunky. But anyway, the reason why you do that is sometimes you need to have Peaches like floaty or jump to kind of get from one area to another. I'm not super far into the game. I think I'm only like halfway through chapter 2. I'm getting there. I'm chipping away at this game. Like initially I was like disappointed by it. I went into it thinking it was going to be an RPG if you watched last week's episode, and it just didn't end up being that. But for what it is, it's neat. It's a neat puzzle platformer with great charm. It's cute. It's got that Nintendo whimsy that I love. I guess the big thing was this week, I just found myself, I wasn't really enjoying Genji and King Kong. So what ended up happening is I was just like, I want to get through these games. And like Super Paper Mario, because I'm there for the story, it was always just kind of like, I'm just going to wait until I have like a chunk of time to play and enjoy this. And that's what I did Saturday. I played quite a bit of it on Saturday. So those are those 3 games. Now I did over the weekend start some new stuff because I did finish King Kong and I backlogged Genji. So the first one I'm going to talk about is my Genji replacement, which is Dynasty Warriors 6 Empires. So I have never played a Dynasty Warriors game. The only thing I know about this is from my friends who, from what I've gathered from them, Dynasty Warriors was a game where you start hitting square and then you just keep hitting square until the battle is over. And that is essentially what happens with this game. That is Dynasty Warriors. So I didn't know what this game was. I didn't know what to expect. So I just kind of picked up a Dynasty Warriors, not knowing that Empires, Dynasty Warriors 6 Empires it's DLC. It's an expansion. It's not the original. So the original is kind of more of like a story mode. You just kind of play through it. This has got like a weird real-time strategy element to the game. Where you just kind of like have these menus and then you can kind of like pick the different battle you want to go through and then just kind of upgrade the characters. But but instead of like it being a real-time strategy game, when you get into the battle, you just kind of control your character and you run around and you just kill hundreds of enemies. I'm not even exaggerating. Like I've had levels where like I'll be like 6 minutes in and I've already killed like 600 enemies. It's kind of great. It's kind of great. I'm not gonna lie, that part can be satisfying. There was a moment when I was playing this game. Excuse me. There was a moment when I was playing this game, and there's this ability. It's called True Speed. You activate this, and you just go like super fast, and you just start sprinting around the level or the area. So I'm just sprinting around the area and running into enemies, just mashing square. And I just kind of had this moment where I just started giggling, and I was like, I get it. I get it. I get Dynasty Warriors now. I'm not saying it's great. I'm not saying it's necessarily for me, but I at least get it. In terms of this game's story, it's all kind of set in the kind of like Three Kingdoms era of China. So it's just kind of interesting. There are several scenarios. I'm still kind of making my way through the first scenario. I do want to just minor gripe. It's a minor gripe. It's really not that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things. So the one I can't remember which scenario I chose, but it doesn't really matter. The first mission in this scenario, so this is how I was introduced to Dynasty Warriors. I'm told that I need to deliver a message from one side of the battlefield to the other. So that's what I tried to do. I'm given 2 minutes. I fail. I try again. 2 minutes, I fail. I realized, like, I can't do this without a horse, but I can't buy a horse because I don't have any money because the game just started. So then I had to kind of like dig through the game. I found that there are like side quests. They call them like mercenary missions. So I had to do one of those, and then I was able to buy the horse, and then I was able to complete the first level. I don't know. That's just a terrible introduction to a game where it's just like, hey, this first mission, you're not going to be able to complete it. Like, that's not great. But this is a DLC expansion. This is not a good starting point for Dynasty Warriors. It is what it is. So that's been my experience with Dynasty Warriors. Lastly, the game I started playing after King Kong. So I've been missing hockey. I'm a huge hockey fan, and I was like, I'm going to play a hockey game, and that's why I started playing NHL 2K8. Now, this is Jason Spezza on the cover. He played for Ottawa, went to Dallas, and then eventually played for Toronto. Now he's a assistant general manager of Pittsburgh, but that's all irrelevant. So for this game, so normally for the sports games, I've been doing like the Be a Pro mode, but like the 2K series, at least the NHL one, they don't have that mode. So I decided to do a franchise mode because I saw that there were some achievements. There was one for winning a Stanley Cup. There was one for winning a President's Trophy and the Stanley Cup. And then there was also one for Dynasty, winning 3 cups in a row. So I picked the New York Islanders. I wrote down my board. If you are familiar with hockey and you've heard of the Hockey Guy, I've done the Hockey Guy style. This was the lineup that I originally drafted for this mode. So I took Rick Nash, Eric Stahl. I moved Ryan Getzlaf to the right wing because he's a righty anyway. Because I just wound up with a lot of centers. R.J. Umberger, Anze Kopitar, Jeff Carter. Jeff Carter, another center that I moved to right. Alex Burrows, Mike Richards, Drew Stafford. Now, you may be wondering, why is R.J. Umberger? Like, he was actually rated better than these guys, so I just kind of had him as my number left wing, my second line left winger. And then finally, I had Chris Kelly, Matt Stajan, and Joe Pavelski. And then on defense, I picked Yoni Pitkinen, Thomas Kaberle, Kevin Bieksa, Marc-Edouard Vlasic, Ryan Suter, Paul Martin, and then in goal, I kind of forgot about the goalies, so I ended up with Antero Niittymaki, but then I got really lucky and found Jimmy Howard late. He wound up being a big part of my team, but I found even later this one guy named Pekka Rinne. He was really low rated at the time. He wound up being very helpful. So this was my original roster. This is what I wound up drafting during the because I like doing like a fantasy draft. So then during my first season, I purposely didn't make any trades. I didn't seek out any trades. I just kind of let the AI offer me trades. At one point during this, a lot of the trades I rejected, but I was offered Drew Stafford, who was like mid-70s at the time, for Keith Ballard, who was an 80, and then Joseph Wasicek, he was also a 75. So basically, Wasicek replaced Stafford. He's older, but basically I got the same forward, and then I just got like a solid defenseman. So I was happy to do that. So then I ended up with an extra defenseman. So then I was offered, this was a crazy deal. I was offered Marc-Edouard Vlasic for Phil Kessel. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to take that. Because Phil Kessel was then moved to my left side, and he took Umberger's spot. And all of a sudden I had Rick Nash, Eric Stahl, Ryan Getzlaf, Jeff Carter, Anze Kopitar, and Phil Kessel as my top 6. That's a pretty good top 6. And then I get to the playoffs. I had a great season. And in round 1, I can't remember who I was playing. I was the Islanders. Was it Carolina? I think it was Carolina. Either way, it doesn't matter who the team was. I lost to Martin Brodeur. Martin Brodeured me, and I lost in the first round. Year 2. I can't remember all the moves I made. Eventually, it doesn't matter. So year 2 comes along. I make it to the Stanley Cup Finals. I go up against Calgary, and then I lose to Roberto Luongo. Oof. So, but hey, that's hockey. Like, you build a great young team. Sometimes you struggle early on, and so the first couple of years, like, we should be winning the cup. We should be, but we're not quite there. I win it in the third year, and then I went on to win 3, 4, and 5. Like I said, eventually Niittymaki was let go. Eventually Howard became well, okay. So Niittymaki was my starter the first season. Howard became my starter the second season. Then Rene stepped up in the third season, and he was the one who carried me to my 3 cups. I'm trying to think if there were any other major moves. I can't remember how I ended up with Duncan Keith. I made a trade and I wound up with Duncan Keith. He was lower rated and then got way better. And then at one point, Rick Nash left. He left after my second season, and like, it was actually Joe Pavelski, who, if you remember, started out on my fourth line. He eventually made it up to be a top line winger for me. So my top line when I won the cup was Joe Pavelski, it was Joe Pavelski, Anze Kopitar. Anze Kopitar wound up replacing Eric Staal as my number 1 center. So it was Pavelski, Kopitar, and Ryan Getzlaf. So yeah, that's been my experience. I did that yesterday. I just kept playing. I did that Saturday and yesterday. I literally stayed up till like maybe 3 a.m. Saturday just playing this game. I didn't want to go to bed until I won my 3rd cup. So I won my 3rd cup, and then I called it. And then yesterday I played for a little bit, and then probably around 7 or 8 o'clock I wanted to record this video, but I was just tired. I think it's because I stayed up till 3 a.m. the previous night. So I went to bed like super early and just said, you know what, I'm going to record this video before work. So that's what I did. And that's what I played this week. Like I said, I don't have any haul. So these are the games I played this week. And we'll just kind of move into my rankings. Let me switch this. Perfect. So I did do a little bit of changing on the website. I created a backlog section on the lists page. It's at the very bottom. So like I said, I backlogged Far Cry 2 and Genji Days of Blade. I will eventually have to get back to those games, but for now, I just don't want to play them. So as of right now, I have Dynasty Warriors 6 Empires. I've only played it for 2 to 3 hours, so I'm still kind of making my way. Excuse me. My way through it, but as of right now, I'm giving it a 5. It's average. It's fun. I get it, but like, I don't know if it's necessarily for me, but we'll see. We'll see how I end up feeling about it after I play it a little bit more. So I'm going to skip ahead to number 36 and talk about Peter Jackson's King Kong, the official game of the movie. Playing this, like I said, it was frustrating combat. Like, I don't love like mediocre first person combat. If I'm playing first person, I want the combat to be like tight and strong and fun. If it's just kind of mediocre, I just rarely am as into it. So ultimately, I just kind of decided on giving the game a 6, and I ranked it 36 between Medal of Honor and NASCAR Unleashed. It's also important to note that this game got me thinking about Condemned, and it just reminded me so much of Condemned, which I had Condemned up higher as a 6, and the more I played it, I was like, man, I have Condemned too high. And so what I ended up doing is I moved Condemned down and gave it a 5.5 out of average. And then I ultimately thought about like Peter Jackson's King Kong and decided that this game's about equal to Condemned. I'm giving it a 0.5 score better because Condemned gave basically no points and King Kong gave 1,000. So those 1,000 points, I'm giving it a 0.5 bump, and I'm going to say it's slightly better than Condemned, and so that's why it's at 36, and Condemned has been moved to 38. That is my logic there. Super Paper Mario, in my last episode I had it lower. Now that I've accepted what the game is, I am enjoying it more. I'm going to like it more. I expect it to keep crawling up a little bit here and there, but I don't expect it to get too much higher. I'm thinking it's going to end up being somewhere around a 7.5 or an 8. So I would expect it as of right now to be at least a top 25 game. But we'll see. I still need to play through a lot more of that. And then lastly is NHL 2K8. Is that the last game I'm playing? Yes. NHL 2K8. It's good. I'm enjoying it. The gameplay is okay. It's certainly like the EA's like hockey gameplay. It's just better. It just plays better. It feels better. But I like hockey games. So I was thinking about it, and this is still my favorite sports game that I've played. I don't know if it's necessarily the best, but it is my favorite. So I'm gonna give the game an 8 and say like I love the franchise aspect of it. I've just never really loved playing the games as much, but I'm still gonna keep playing it. There is an achievement to playing every single team. There's an achievement for winning a tournament. And there was one other one that I was like, I should try to get that. I can't remember. There's one like getting 100 wins. I don't know. I might try to get that. We'll see. If I do, the way I'm going to do it is I am just going to set each period to 1 minute. So it'll make each game take me about 5 minutes, and I'll just see if I can get through it and get that achievement. At the very least, I do want to at least play through a tournament. And I want to play as every single team. So I will try to go for at least those 2 achievements, and then I'll probably end up just kind of calling it a game. I do love going back to these old games and just kind of seeing the old rosters, and just kind of like it just kind of takes me back to like that time when I was playing these games, and I was just kind of watching hockey at this time. It's so interesting to look at this game essentially like 20 years later. So but with that, those are the games I've been playing. That is my list for this week. I want to thank you for watching, and I will catch you guys next time.